Just a few quick things here. Practice has gone really well. There's been a lot of energy. So hopefully we're getting to a point that we're maturing and can practice hard and well every day. That's important. That hasn't been the case every time since we've been here. COVID continues to be a real concern with over 50 cancellations or postponements. We give an update to the team every morning at 6:30 and just tell them and staff keep really taking low risk and wear your mask and go by the guidelines. And we would ask everybody to do that because we were told that when winter comes, it's going to get worse when people go back inside. And it seems like right now that it's maybe as bad as it's been. And a lot of games are being postponed or canceled. And we're getting at a time in the season where there's not a lot of room to make them up. So we've told the guys, if you want to play, keep doing what you're supposed to do. We also reviewed with the guys that the two games that we've lost, we made really critical mistakes in. And you go back to the block punt. We let a guy just run by us at the first of the Florida State game and get it started. And then we have an interception for a touchdown against Florida State. And then they go 5 quick plays and score. And right before the half, then we miss a field goal. And still had a chance to win. At Virginia, you go back to we've lost 3 fumbles this year, 2 of them on punts. So Virginia, we lose a punt at the 20 and they score. We have a turnover at the 30, they score. And then we have a flare pass that goes 75 yards. So in both of those games, we have made 21 points or 17 points of critical errors and lost both games by 3 points. So we've got to play well. It's about us, and it's not about our opponent. And Wake Forest has done really well. Their offense is scoring 37 points a game. Our offense is scoring 40. Their defense has played statistically a little bit better than ours. Their kicking games have been better. So they've returned a kickoff for a touchdown. So they've had fewer penalties and they've forced more turnovers and they've had fewer turnovers. So when you start looking at what they've done, Sam Hartman's a really good player. You have to appreciate him. He's very much like our Sam. He's accurate. He can run. He's smart, and he knows how to win. So we've got our hands full this weekend, and we'll have to play well. On the positive side of that, Mark, right before we start, we've had 3 home games, and we've played really, really well in all 3 of those. So we did win on the road last week, but going to Duke is not like going on the road very much. I mean, it's a 15-minute drive, so it's not the same as getting on a plane and going somewhere to play.
Great, thanks, Coach. Group, if you've got a question, please use the raise hand function. And our first question today will come from Andrew Jones.
Hey, Coach, staying on what you just opened with, the penalties. I know you said that you guys evaluate them and determine whether or not, I guess it was a penalty or it wasn't a penalty. How do you correct the penalties that are penalties, but also how do you coach them to, if you don't think it's a penalty, how do you coach them to maybe avoid that fine line of what might be called a penalty and what isn't?
Yeah, Andrew, we've cut them in half so that we're obviously better now than we were earlier in the year. We were horrible. We're just bad now. So what we do is we have officials out there every day and they call every penalty and we call the player out and we bring him in, we show it to him on video, we go over it with the coaches every day and just try to correct it that way. It's and then the hard thing for us, which I don't like for the players or for the coaches, is if there's a penalty that was not called that should have been a penalty in the game, we can't bring it up and you don't get to see it. If there's a call that was absolutely wrong and really hurts our team, we can't even discuss it. And I think that should change in college football. Everybody's accountable, and I think officials should be accountable too. So they do a great job, but if they mess up, then I really feel like that the league offices across the country should say that they messed up if it's a critical play that changes the game. So each week, you all report on what was called, and that doesn't mean they were all penalties. And that's a difficult thing. And then I can't defend our team if they weren't penalties. So what we do is the ones that we know are penalties, and we even correct the ones that we think were penalties against us that they didn't call. So we bring those in too and show the players this should have been called. But we talk a lot about penalties, and you're not going to get rid of them. Everybody has them. What you're going to do is try to limit them as much as you can.
And you mentioned the other day that a couple of the penalties against Duke were effort plays. What is that fine line that between the effort play, but also the flag gets thrown and there's nothing you can really do about it?
Yeah, you've got to be smart. And again, some of the when you're touching a quarterback, some of it's judgment. Taman was rushing the passer, and he had a outstanding game rushing the passer. He was on the ground, he rolled over, and he rolled into the quarterback and didn't know if he had the ball or not. So that's a penalty. Ray Vahasic's coming in. It's really not late, but he hits the guy, and you can hit him below the waist or below the knees, and we thought it was at the thighs at one point. And so some of that stuff, you've got to be really, really careful. Coach Bowden told me one time, be careful about guys that are jumping off sides, trying to get to the pass rush and get to the quarterback and stopping them so they're non-aggressive. You've got to be really careful coaching that. You may be better off getting a 5-yard penalty every now and then with aggressiveness than you are stopping him and not getting any sacks. And the other thing Coach Bowden always said is sometimes if they're really going to get after the quarterback and hit the quarterback and they hit him a little bit late and it's a judgment call, that hit probably helps you later in the game. So you've got to be careful when that we're trying to get our defense to tackle better, stop the run. We're trying to get more of a pass rush. And modern day, you can't touch quarterbacks really. I mean, it's very, very little that can be done. But we're trying to continue to be more aggressive, but limit the penalties.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Andrew.
Let's go over to CL Brown.
Hi, Mac. I'm fishing a little bit here again, but I was curious if you had a prior relationship with Rance Gillespie in Georgia before you started recruiting Kamen Rucker.
I'm sorry, I lost the first part of it, CL.
I was wondering if you had a prior relationship with Rance Gillespie, Coach Gillespie in Georgia before you recruited Kamen Rucker.
You know, our staff did. I think Coach worked as a graduate assistant at Army with Jay and with Javon, and maybe even with Coach Hess. But Kamen's a guy that we liked from day one. He's a National Honor Society student. He's a leader in his school, in his community, and on his team. And he's up to 260 pounds, and he plays really, really hard every play. And he's just a special young man. So we think he will be a great player for us before he leaves.
Did he have any kind of, I don't know, was he advanced in any ways just in terms of the preparation aspect of making a transition to college because his coach had coached in college? So some of the things they did in high school, he tried to emulate what would be done in college?
Yes, CL, I think it's 2 or 3 things. He's very well coached. He's very smart. His dad and he has wonderful family, and they push him really hard. So he has excelled so much in the weight room too. He's so strong, and Coach Hess is helping him. But he's very powerful. He's got a lot of explosive power that the weightlifting people like to call it. And he'll even get stronger. But he is very unusually strong for a freshman coming in.
All right, thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Our next question comes.
Mark, CL, thanks for helping me with the bell last week. You got it to the other end, so it wasn't even though you called it the Liberty Bell.
Anytime.
And then I called it the Liberty Bell the next day with the team. Thanks to you, CL. So
maybe they should rename it.
Jeremy had to come over and say, "Don't listen to CL. Go back to Victory Bell." That's what we got to do. Go ahead, Mark. I'm sorry.
You're good. Greg Barnes, please.
Hey, Mac, with the Ty Murray news, I know Kieran Johnson came in for Brian Anderson on Saturday. Just curious how that shakes up the depth chart there at center for you.
Well, what we've been doing, because Ty got hurt early in practice, and hasn't been able to return. So he and his family and the doctors agreed that it would be best for him to just forego his future and help us start coaching and get his degree. But it'll still be the same. It'll be Brian. We call him Q, Curion. Q will be the backup center, and he really backs up at all three places inside. He's got both guards and the center. And then you've got Stephen Adorno that's doing the same. Stephen is playing, Jonathan, excuse me. You've got Jonathan Adorno who's doing the same. He will play center and both guards. So we've been doing that since Ty got hurt early in the year, because Ty was actually playing the second spot at center. And I'm just, again, I said it on Monday, but I'm so impressed with our coaches that at a year with COVID and some kids getting sick and guys getting hurt, that Stacy Searles has been able to play Josh Azudu at guard, all four spots other than center. And then he's able to mix these guys up inside. And then when Jordan Tucker got hurt, he moved Marcus McKeithen outside to tackle. So these guys have done an amazing job this year of not griping about COVID, not griping about injuries, just picking it up and moving forward and getting them ready for the game.
And with Ty being a second-year player, does that put an emphasis in recruiting to add another center maybe?
Well, it does, and it's late, and we can't have any visits. So we'll probably start looking at that more for next year. Greg, it'd probably be in the 22 class more than the 21 class.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, let's go over to Taylor Vippolis.
Hey, Coach, I remember listening to a podcast where you talked about your great friendship with Phil Mickelson. With the Masters this week, I'm curious, have you had the chance to talk with him? And is there any Cabo-type agreement with this UNC team?
Taylor, I did text him last night, and I told him not to text me back. He's kind of busy this week. He's got a little going down there with his green jacket. But since he and I do have history over our story about Augusta, and if he wins the Masters and we win the national championship, we go to Cabo, and it's a fun time for me to watch him play, because it seems like yesterday that I call it the 6-inch vertical jump that he took on 18 when he made the putt to win. And he did call me right after he got through with all the media and the signing and the fans and signing his card, and said, okay, I've done my part of the deal. Now you got to go win the national championship for us to get to Cabo. And then he was at the national championship game, and after we won, he did come in the dressing room and said, we got a problem. And I said, what's our problem? And he said, we got a lot more than 25 friends that want to go to Cabo now, because when we first started, both of us were struggling. And he said, we'll take our 25 best friends to Cabo. So I love Phil Mickelson. He's a dear friend, and I've had a lot of joy in my life with him. And wish him luck. I told him it's time for the old guys to step up.
All right, let's go over to Alyssa Ray.
Coach, to have the game you did against Duke, what does that do for the defense's confidence, but also to be able to get some of those guys in that normally wouldn't get as many reps in a game?
Alyssa, this has been the best week that the entire team has practiced. And I've told the staff yesterday, it's 100% because the younger guys got to play, or the guys that hadn't been playing a lot got to play. So it gives them more confidence. It gives them more hope that they'll get in more, and now they got to be prepared to play. And when they're practicing well against each other, it makes the entire team's preparation better. So there's no doubt that we've got to play those young guys, and we've just got to continue to play them. And then next year they won't be young guys. So maybe for the first time we'll have some depth.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Okay, our next question comes from Ross Martin.
Hey, Coach. With the play of Javonte Williams as of late, he's obviously one of the better running backs in terms of stats and PFF grades. How does a program like UNC or any program go about promoting a player like that for national awards, or trying to highlight a player who maybe he's not getting recognized as much as he should for the type of season he's having right now?
Yeah, Ross, it's one of those things that goes through Jeremy Sharp's office. And we talked to the coaches and we talked to the players, and Michael Carter's also going to be a drafted player. So you really want to make sure that both of those young guys get a lot of publicity. But I think if Javonte comes back next year, and he could obviously leave for the NFL because he's had such a good season, but if he comes back next year, you would have to look at guys like Sam and Javonte for all the national awards, and you would start pushing them from the beginning. And Sam's already been up for all those awards, and his name's mentioned. Javonte hasn't, but starting this year, he wasn't in a position that we would have talked about him nationally as we are right now. So I do think that he's getting a lot of publicity now. People are recognizing how good he is. We will sit down as soon as our season's over with all of our seniors to see if they want to come back or not. And Coach Moody will help them. Paul Pogge works with our NFL guys, but Coach Daryl Moody does as well. They will talk to them about, after sending out video and talking to a lot of the pro scouts and general managers, exactly where they think they would be drafted. And obviously, if they want to go to the NFL, we're all for it. If they can make a lot of money and they want to go, we would be for it. If they're not going to make a lot of money and they want to come back, then we're in a position right now this year with this unique rule that we would bring any of those guys back that want to come back. So, but we will not have that discussion with them until the season's over.
And you touched on another kind of question. I don't know if Javonte is getting the national recognition he deserves with what he's putting up. You're a big ESPN guy. I mean, why do you think that is maybe happening, where some of maybe the bigger names entering this season are getting more pub, whereas his stats rank up just as good as them?
Well, I think it's your responsibility, Ross, to get him pub.
Hey, we're doing our best. We're doing our best.
You haven't done it. You're falling behind here. You and your guys. No, I really believe that since it wasn't something that everybody saw coming, and we've got two guys, and they have exactly the same number of touches nearly every game. I don't know how Robert does it, but after every game I look at it, and this one had 18 carries, this one had 17. So I think because of that, he hasn't been just the guy. And a game like Saturday throws the name out there even more. And I think we'll continue to see that because we only gained 93 yards rushing at Virginia, and that hurts you when you're one of those guys. I mean, it's I remember with Ricky Williams, we had 43 yards. He had 43 yards rushing against Kansas State one day. And everybody threw him out of the Heisman, and he still won. But you've got to be really consistently doing well to get that national attention each week.